There we go. She's all rolled back together. Well, it's been a few months since I've been working on the 674. Hopefully I remember how everything goes back together, but this flywheel, we had it machined down, about 2 months ago now, to give it a better surface for the friction plate to mash against. But when I went to put it all back together, the friction plate was actually rubbing on the bolt heads. As I used a pink animal marker on the bolt heads to see where it was rubbing, and you can see that. You can see how it left scratch marks all over them. So I had to wait a couple months on a brand new flywheel, which is here now. So we're going to take this flywheel off, pull the brand new pilot bearing out of the center, put it into the new flywheel, and reinstall the new flywheel onto this tractor. And hopefully I can get this tractor back together, because I'm going to need it pretty soon for loading all those bales I've been making. So let's see what we can do with that. As you can see, I've got a 3/4 inch bar coming through the flywheel cooling holes here, and I've already removed the bolts that would be otherwise in the way to try and pull out through here. So when I pull out the remaining 5 bolts, I can grab a hold of the flywheel using this bar from both sides and cart it off to the side. Okay, so the flywheel is off the tractor now, and the way I intend to pull this bearing out is I'm going to put this 3/4 bolt, appears to be about 4.5, 5 inches long. I'm going to put it up through the bearing like this, and I'm going to set this big socket on it, big 2-inch 3/4 socket over the bearing, and I'm going to put the nut on the bolt and tighten it up and pull it out, and that's how it's going to come out. There you go, just like that. Adjustable wrench on that side, 1.1 on this side, and ultimately you just go like that. Sorry, wrong direction. Too early in the morning. I'll blame it on that. Yeah, there we go. That's the right way. Okay. Ultimately like that. Ta-da! There you go. Bearings in the socket. I'll take this all out and start reinstalling it into the new flywheel. There's the old flywheel and the new flywheel. So for reinstalling the bearing into the new flywheel, you'll actually need a slightly longer bolt, just because of the dimensions of the flywheel. I needed it to install this bearing into the old one before I realized everything was completely worn out. But yeah, that's a brand new bearing, if you're wondering. The old one is actually here. That's the one that was in the flywheel when I started the whole project. So I got a brand new one. I'm just gonna go right there. Just like that. There we are. The bearing has been installed in the new flywheel. And as you can see, there's no space in between where the seat is here and the bearing. So it's in there as far as it's gonna go. Alright, so the flywheel is installed. I've torqued them up to 90 foot-pounds. This is the pattern I did. I started with this one here, went to this one, that one, this one, that one, this one, that one. Now, I started by torquing them to 75 foot-pounds. The recommended is 90 foot-pounds. So I took it to 75, as well as I did everything 75 foot-pounds. And then I reset my torque wrench to 90 foot-pounds, and I retorqued them all again. So before I mount the friction plate and the pressure plate onto the flywheel, I'm going to give it a quick wipe down with this rag. Just get rid of any dust, debris, grease, anything like that that's on here, just to make sure that there's not going to be any residues or whatever that we don't want in on the flywheel. Then we'll get everything mounted, and hopefully we'll be running the tractor. So when you go to install your pressure plate in the 674 or similar IH tractor, you want to make sure that that little collar is actually going in towards the flywheel, and this mass with the springs in it is actually towards the transmission, because if you don't, your friction pads won't be contacting the clutch. Here, I'll rotate it over so you can understand what I'm hopefully getting at, if you've never installed a clutch before. Hear that? That's the spring mass rubbing on the bolts. So right there, that's the way that goes on. Hopefully that helped you. And I've got a centering device that I've used my wood lathe to make out of a little piece of cedar lumber. That slides into the pilot bearing, and it's the same size as the small side of the splines on the friction disc. The pressure plate just slides over top of this, and these outside bolts here will center it. So there's no need to actually make it a three-tiered system. You can if you want, but there's no real need for it. Okay, so the pressure plate, friction plate, it's all installed on the flywheel. Now you can pull out the center block here that I've put in here to center everything. There you go. But I do want to recommend that you use a 1/4 inch ratchet and a 1/2 inch socket when you're putting these pressure plate bolts on, just so you don't snap them off, because it's a pain to get them back out of this flywheel if you ever do. So just for anybody that's going to install a flywheel assembly and clutch on a tractor or anything, make sure you don't use a ratchet, which will overpower your bolt. So I'm getting it rolled together closer and closer all the time. As soon as I get that flywheel partially inside the bell housing, I'm going to remove the chain and switch to the floor jack, and that way I don't have to roll it 500 miles on a floor jack across this slightly uneven concrete floor. But yeah, we're getting there. We might have the tractor running. There we go. She's all rolled back together. All that's left to do is hook up wires, hoses, pipes, cables, etc. Get it ready to go, and then it should be ready to run. I probably won't bother making any videos about hooking those pipes and stuff up. I'll just cut straight to the chase and have her driving. Thanks for watching, everybody.